Hey guys, welcome to episode 7 of the Daily Hustle podcast. Today I'm here with Dr. Zamil Nazim. He's the owner of Super Smiles Dental and he's also my client. Zamil, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Kelvin.
Pleasure.
It's been a pleasure to be on your podcast.
Awesome, yeah. So today we're in Zamil's dental clinic. We're actually in one of his rooms. There's a chair at the moment right in front of us that people probably get their teeth pulled out and get operated on. But it's pretty cool.
Pretty much.
So thanks for inviting me to actually come here and record. Zamil, tell me more about dentistry. I mean, how did you get into it and what was the whole, being a dentist like?
In high school, I didn't know where I wanted to go. My dad had braces put on me when I was younger.
Okay.
And he had to pay the dentist a bit of money, and my dad's like, dentistry has money in there. Son, you're going to become a dentist.
Right.
And at the time, I didn't have any other ambitions or any other plans, and I thought, all right, whatever dad says, I'll go with it.
Okay.
So I started my journey into dentistry. I did a first degree in medical science, and then after that, I got into dentistry.
Yeah.
And then that was another 4 years of dental school.
Yeah.
And then after about 7-8 years of university, I finally graduated as a dentist.
Congratulations, awesome. And so when did you graduate? Was that recently?
2017. So
Okay.
end of 2017 we graduated, and then 2018 we started work.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so going into dentistry, you just did your HSC, right? And then went straight into, what was the first degree, sorry?
The first degree was just like a medical science, because at Sydney University you need to do a postgraduate to get into dentistry.
Yeah.
At the time, my dad didn't want me to go interstate. You can do dentistry straight after school in interstate or in regional in Orange.
Yeah.
But in Sydney, you need to do a degree first. He didn't want me away from home. I think he probably missed me. So he said, son, stay in Sydney.
Yeah.
So I stayed in Sydney.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. And so when you first started working, were you working in a random clinic that you found? Like, did you do practicals there and then you got hired? Or what was that like?
So when I was just finishing my degree in dentistry, most of the tutors, most of the people in university, they always say to go for a public hospital job, and they are all people from the public hospital regions, so no one really told us to go private.
Yeah.
So I found a job application in Newcastle.
Okay.
So I drove up to Newcastle for the interview, came back down and did the interview there, and they called me back a couple of weeks later and they said, hey, we got a job for you, and it's in Armidale. Would you like the job? And I said, yes.
Okay.
I'll take the job.
Yeah.
And then I got off the phone, and at the time I was married as well. My wife, so I was like, hey, I got a job.
Yeah.
My wife's like, where is it? I'm like, in Armidale. She's like, where's that? I'm like, I don't know, let me check on the maps. So I literally checked the map, and the thing's about 6.5 hours away. I'm like, well, we're moving to Armidale.
Right,
And
so
that
you
was
actually moved to Armidale?
Yeah.
Oh, right. So was that at a public hospital or?
It was at a public hospital, yeah. Even the funny thing is, even when I took the job, and I said, yeah, I'll take the job, and he himself was a bit confused and a bit like, oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't think many people want to go that far.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And so you moved to Armidale, and how long were you there for?
So I moved to Armidale for about, I couldn't stay long. I stayed there for about 8 months.
Yeah.
The dental experience was really good. And that's the whole reason I moved, because public hospital, when you're in a countryside, and it wasn't, I thought to myself, I'll just throw me wherever you want in Australia and I'll go. And it's because in those remote locations, there's no one else. There's no surgeons, there's no specialists, nothing.
You are the specialist, essentially.
You are everything. Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of the times, whatever the issue is, we got to fix it and do what you can to fix it. A lot of surgery, a lot of taking out of teeth, and so it was a lot of kind of getting thrown into the deep end.
Yeah.
And that's what you kind of want straight after university. You want to get thrown in the deep end and kind of build yourself up from there.
Okay, and so people who were studying with you, did anyone else go to Armidale, or were they all around Sydney and stuff?
No, so most people in Sydney. Some moved back into the interstate regions, Melbourne and Queensland, Brisbane. There are people that go into the countryside.
Yeah.
But not that many.
Yeah, cool. Right. And so you were in Armidale for 8 months, and then after that, where'd you go from there?
I was in Armidale for 8 months. I got the experience that I needed. I felt much more confident in doing all my dental, jobs, all the dental roles. And so I said to myself, that's enough of Armidale, because it's very quiet, there's not a lot going on.
Did you have a kid at the time?
I had a child, I had a child before I went to Armidale.
Yeah.
And then I had another daughter, my second daughter, she was born in Armidale Hospital.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I came back to Sydney. It was too quiet for me. I was happy with where I was as a dentist. So I said, you know what, I can get myself a private job in Sydney.
Yeah.
And I should be sweet from there.
Yeah. And then you went into a private clinic. How long were you there for?
I was at the private clinic for about a year or so. So I was just building up a bit more of my skill and learning more things in dentistry. Dentistry is always evolving, and there's always new technology that's always coming out.
Yeah.
So as a new dentist, you're learning how to become a dentist first, and then after that, get all the basics right, and then you start to advance yourself and start getting more and more skills in the latest technologies.
Yeah, and so like during our sessions that we've had together, you're always talking about upskilling, always talking about learning more. Why do you see the value of upskilling? Where do you see that, and I guess what's the role of upskilling in your role as a dentist?
Yeah, so previously in dentistry, it's been a very, what's that word? A very barbaric thing,
Right.
A lot of people are very scared of dentists.
Yeah.
It's a very sensitive place in the body. The mouth has a lot of sensitivity. And we're working in that space.
Yeah.
And it's a very confined space for a dentist. I always have problems with my neck and back and everything like that.
Yeah.
So the way they're moving dentistry now is, as much as we can, we do everything outside the mouth.
Right. Okay.
All the planning, everything that we can do is outside the mouth.
Okay.
When it comes to inside the mouth, we want to spend as less time as possible, and so it's as comfortable as possible for the patient. And so that's the way that dentistry is going. And if you're not on that trend, then you'll kind of fall behind. And
Okay. Cool. And so your goal is to always be on top of it, be at the top of the game all the time.
Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. And so obviously you're very young. How old are you now at the moment?
28.
28. And so you have 3 kids now. You're married.
Yes.
You've gone through the public system, private system, and then now you've opened your own clinic.
Yes.
How old were you when you opened your own clinic?
27.
27. Cool. Yeah. So the reason I guess why I wanted you on the podcast as well is because you're a very young guy. Like I see a lot of dentists out there, or the dentists that I know, they're quite old. Not like they're 60s and 70s, but older than you are.
Yeah.
But you opened up your first dental clinic at 27. Was that always your goal, or did it just sort of happen?
No, it was always my goal. My dad's a businessman. He started, he had a truck and an excavator. He started one when I was still a little kid, probably in kindergarten or something. And he slowly grew his business, to having multiple employees and multiple trucks and multiple diggers. And then I saw that with my older brother as well. Yep. He started a similar business, and he went and continued to build that up. And so it was always the career path that I was looking at, was to start up a dental practice and slowly build it up.
And so your mentality after uni was this, I'll go and learn as much as I can, and then was it your timeline, those 3 years, to just learn as much as you can and go straight into
And my timeline was, I need to be able to be confident and competent in all the basic stuff and some level of advanced dentistry. Then I can open up my own. And then I can, the skills and the technology is always developing, and continue to stay on top of it as time goes on.
Do you feel like it was too fast? Like, did you rush it?
No. If I looked at it from a technology perspective, that a couple of things I could have not been able to afford in the dental practice, and I still don't have because they're worth $500,000 or whatever it is. Okay. I haven't bought that, but then that's only 1% of practices anyway that actually do have those things. Right. In terms of opening my own practice, I find it difficult to work for someone else. Okay. It's always been, difficult to work for someone else. And growing up in that environment where everyone has their own businesses, over time you get a certain level of freedom once you have a business that's running. And that freedom is what I've always been yearning for. Freedom in terms of just of time and money, right? Freedom of time more so than money, but freedom of time, Right, cool.
Awesome. So basically, starting at 27, tell me about the process of starting your own clinic then. What's that like?
So I had no clue of how to start, where to start, what to do, what not. And my family members as well, were all saying, look, it's a bit too early to start. Probably just wait a couple of years, get some more experience. But the problem is when you're starting a dentistry practice, you know the dentistry, but you don't know how to run a practice, you don't know how to run a business.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I don't know how to run a business or a practice. But I said, hey, if I get a couple of people, main people that I need, like the receptionists and assistants and bits and pieces, I'll learn, I'll learn.
Yeah.
I know the dentistry part and I need to take some money off them and that's the transaction that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Everything else, I'll learn as I go,
And so your idea of starting your own business was building a team around you that could help you and support you into growing the business and running the business and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
awesome.
Yeah, so I've seen like that from day one, when I didn't know how to do anything on reception or dental assisting or sterilizing, I got the people in those positions.
Yeah.
And then as the business started to grow, I needed someone to kind of manage all my employees. And then the next step was to get a practice manager.
Yeah.
And my practice manager has helped us to kind of make things much more efficient, much more productive, much more financially productive as well.
Yeah.
And move that forward, So it kind of takes me a step back from my employees. I don't have to deal with the day-to-day rosters and staff issues and, changing things around.
So starting your own practice, obviously a huge risk, right? Where does risk come in? Like, how does risk play a role in your mind? Are you scared of, were you scared of starting your own business, or were you confident? What was it like at that time?
A bit of both. A bit of, there's some confidence, there's some fear. But in terms of risk, I wouldn't say I'm a very high risk taker. I'm not a very low risk taker. But I had the safety net.
Okay.
When I was studying,
Yeah.
I found it very difficult to study and very difficult to do the theory of dentistry.
Right.
At that time I was scared because that time I had much more fear in the sense that, okay, if I do fail, then I've spent the last 6 years building up to becoming a dentist,
Yeah.
and I've got nothing to support me now.
Right.
There's no safety net.
Yeah.
But once I had the safety net of being a dentist,
Yeah.
then running a business, now I've got the safety net. I've got, I'm a dentist, I can always go back to work for someone else and kind of pay off my debts as I go.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, I was okay.
I think the biggest thing for people starting their own business, and for me as well, is just initial capital. One, it can be hard to draw up the initial capital to put into your business. Two, because you're so young, people don't want to really give you a loan either. How did you work around that financially?
So I talked to a couple of the financial brokers and stuff like that, in the banks, and they said, hey, you're a dentist, we believe in you pretty much, we're happy to give you some amount of money.
Okay, right.
And I said, okay, that's cool. And then I worked back from that. They said, we can give you a certain amount of money. All right. And I said, okay, how can I make that work? Because at the time I wasn't 10 years into my profession. I didn't have a lot of money to back me.
Yeah.
So I worked back from what they had given me, and I made the place work with that amount of money.
Yeah, right. So you first figured out what you had to play with first.
Pretty much.
And work from there.
Yeah.
Cool. In terms of starting your own practice, what was it like finding location, renovating, stuff like that? Did you do all that yourself, or did you get someone to help you out?
No, I did that all myself. I didn't know a whole lot in terms of finding the location and the design and stuff. And then I had a couple of quotes from a couple of builders to build the place out.
Yeah.
And we just went with one of them.
Yeah.
They were all in the dental industry, so
Yeah, right.
I had some level of confidence that they could deliver. In terms of finding the place, I just looked on real estate, commercial real estate.
Yeah.
I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I didn't want to be like a house dentist,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be a place where there wasn't a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
A lot of the things these days you see, people are moving a little bit away from towns and doing much of their shopping in shopping centers and shopping plazas.
Right.
So I thought maybe I should go there. again, I was still young and I'm still learning, so that was just let's try it and see what happens. Kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and so now you're in a shopping plaza.
Yeah.
What shopping plaza is this?
This is Chipping Norton Market Plaza. It's a small plaza. It's a medium-sized plaza. This has your general basic shops like Coles, and it's got a GP next door and a bakery and newsagent, chemist, and things like that.
Yeah, cool.
And they were missing a dentist.
Yeah.
So I thought, hey, this is a good opportunity here.
Okay, cool.
And I went with it.
Yeah, and so you were looking for opportunities to basically start your own practice. You found a place that suited you, that you were looking for, and you just sort of rolled with it. Did you have an exit strategy in case things didn't work out?
Exit strategy was go back to working for someone else. That was
But
it.
then what about all like the loans and the debts and stuff?
Yeah, so I have to pay that off slowly.
Right, yeah, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was the exit strategy.
But I pretty much put all my life savings, every last dollar into it.
Yeah.
And I said, we have to make this run. There's no plan B.
Yeah, right. How much sort of runtime did you give yourself, and how much money did you give yourself to go? Because for me, the way I've done things is, I'd say if this doesn't work out by 6 months or 12 months, then let's call it quits, or let's figure out something that can make it work, or start changing a strategy, and also give myself this much money. If I don't start breaking even or profit from then it's time to reevaluate. Did you have that in mind as well?
I didn't have that in mind, to be honest.
Right.
I didn't.
Should you have had that in mind, you think?
Now that you say it, that's a very good idea. You should have that. What if it doesn't work? How long do I keep going until it doesn't? You know?
Right.
Because the debts will continue to increase.
Yeah. Okay.
I never had that in my mind at the time.
Was it just not anything you could have, you just didn't think of doing that?
I just didn't think about that it wouldn't work. I just thought it would work.
Yeah, right.
I thought, what, if I have to live on bread and oil for a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a year, that's fine, I'll do it, but I got to get this one working.
Because the other thing is also you've got kids and a wife as well to look after.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if I was in your situation, I'd be like, damn, I've got all this debt and stuff, I've got to look after kids, got to feed children. So it would have been, for me personally, it would have been pretty scary, but it looks like in your mind, it was just like, it's going to work. Let's do it, it'll work.
My wife said to me, I said to her, I want to start. She said, yeah, go for it. She was really supportive about the whole thing.
Yeah.
I did have 2 young kids at the time, but they were both, infants at the time, 1, 2, 3 years old. But ever since I was in university, then I started working, then I saved up whatever I had for this place. We haven't had a lot of money to play with. Right. It's always been very limited, because she was with me since university. We were married in university. And then I started working in Armidale, then I came back. So we've always lived on a little bit of money, and it's been enough, you know? And so I said, let's continue that, put everything into the business. Just wait a little bit longer, be a little bit more patient. And she's very patient, my wife. So she's like, yeah, let's do it,
Okay.
And then we made it work.
Yeah, and I know I've spoken to a lot of business owners who put a lot of emphasis on finding the right person, not just to work for in business, like a partner in business, but also a life partner as well. What role do you think your wife plays in your business? Is she the boss?
In terms of the practice, I mean, she's very busy. She's got 3 young kids, 3 young daughters. We've got 3 young daughters. So she's very busy at home. So she doesn't really bother, in the business too much.
But in your life.
But she's very supportive.
Okay.
In terms of a non-business. She doesn't have, I mean, again, for her father's a businessman, and, she's got a lot of people who do business in her family.
Yeah.
And she grew up watching her father, he still works 6 days a week, in his 60s now. So she understands that.
Yeah, right.
But she doesn't get too involved, She lets me do my thing.
Do you think if she was more, I guess, not burdening, but a bit more sort of you have to be home at this time, you've got to come back to the kids and stuff, how would you think that would have worked out? Do you think it would have worked out? Or?
No, then it wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll say I'll be home by 7 o'clock and it ends up being 8:30, 9 o'clock. So she's very supportive, very understanding, very patient. I did say to her, it's a bit like a plane coming off the runway, when it takes off, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, just to get off. But once it's in the air, you can kind of go on autopilot. So I said, just give me some time. The first 2 years or so, just give me some time to set it up. Once it's up in the air, then I can take some time back, cut some time back and spend some more time with.
And so you're a year and a half into opening your own practice now. So you're still on the runway, you'd say.
Yeah.
How much left of that runway do you have until you take off?
Look, no, I'm at a stage where the runway can go as long as possible and we can continue going, there's no issue with that. It's just about me taking some time off.
Yeah.
And which I have started now.
Yeah.
Before, for the last year and a half, we were doing about 7 days a week.
So you were working 7 days a week, yeah.
Now I've cut back to 5 from this week actually. Otherwise, I'll cut back.
Congratulations.
To 5 days. Thank you. So it's a good feeling to try and get another dentist in, get them to work.
Yeah.
And finally start to see that vision come into play.
Yeah.
That always had.
Yeah. Like 3 months ago when we first started training together, you were still working 7 days a week, I remember. And I was just, in my head, I was like, how's this guy going to get to the gym, work 7 days a week, deal with 3 kids?
Yeah.
But no, it's good to hear that you've cut down on hours. How has that process been in terms of that sort of, like for me, it looks like you're in the last phase of the startup phase, right? How's that past 3 months been for you? Has it been very easy or difficult? What's it been like?
Well, it's a new phase because you're going from an owner-operator where you're the only person in the business to now having multiple operators working or multiple dentists working in the place.
Yeah.
And each dentist works differently. My staff are used to me as a dentist. Now they've got a new dentist. So a lot of, I guess, understanding, letting the staff know like, hey, we've got a new dentist on, this is how they work, or this is how they're going to be working.
Yeah.
Very different from how I might be working, and understanding and learning from each other, so the staff are like, hey, this dentist does it like this, we need to get this, or we need to change the way we do things. And the dentist tells me, hey, I want to do things like this, or my staff are a bit different the way they work.
Yeah.
Just to make everyone, work in a very harmonious environment.
Yeah, and so it's sort of building that culture of making sure everyone's a bit more flexible, adaptable.
Yeah.
Let's draw it back a little and talk about that startup phase and when you first started working 7 days a week. What was your mentality then? Was it just like, I just need to keep working until I get comfortable? What were the benchmarks? What were the sort of criteria that you had to hit in order for you to go, okay, I can take a step back?
Yeah. So when you're starting a business, I guess, to provide value for your guys, for your viewers, starting a business, I guess there's a couple of things you need to get right in your mindset. That first things first, you're going to have to work hard.
Yeah.
When you work for someone else, you get paid, and whatever you get paid, there's no sense of fear. There's a security. At the end of the week, you'll get paid. When you're starting a business from scratch, there might not be pay.
Yeah.
You're going to be working double or triple the amount of hours, and at the end of the month or the end of the week, you'll be like, I've got nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to show for it. But at the back of your mind, you need to be thinking, you know what? But it's building up.
Yeah.
You see the patient flow coming in. For the first couple of months, we were working, and obviously the business is not making money at the time. But you see the patient flow coming in, and so that's what you need to think. And I see that. No one else sees that, everyone else is a bit like,
you're not making money, man.
But I see my book is getting busier and busier, and each month, and then you have your ups and downs, the cycle, it goes up, there's a lot of patients, and then comes back down again. But you see it going up, and that's what you need to kind of keep your mind focused on, the fact that, all right, you know what, the business is going in the right direction.
Yeah.
The money's not there because you might be reinvesting.
Yeah.
There's always more things to be buying, or new technology or whatever it is. So you might be buying new things, but the business is going in the right direction.
So that's like long-term vision, right?
Long-term vision. So your vision needs to be in place
Yeah.
from the beginning. You need to be someone that works.
Yeah.
The good thing about dentistry is the thing that dentists are a type of doctor. And doctors in general, they do work hard, but most of the time, Saturdays and Sundays is days that you've usually had off.
Right.
You don't see a lot of doctors and dentists that are open on Sundays.
Right, yeah.
So that was a niche that we could capitalize on. Say, hey, you know what, let's open on Sundays. And each Sunday, even until now, like every Sunday we'll get emergencies, 1 or 2 or up to 5 emergencies.
Yeah.
Toothaches, because my doctor or my dentist is closed and there's no other dentist around.
So you'll take it.
I have a patient comes all the way from, I think, South Coast, to see me.
Wow, yeah.
Because I'm open on a Sunday,
Right, okay.
So you get a lot of business if you're willing to put in that hard work. So the vision and the hard work are 2 of the main things that you need to be. And then, of course, be able to sacrifice your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So a lot of dentists, as they continue down their path of being dentists, they get accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and then it becomes hard for them to kind of take a step back and take a pay cut and open their own practice. And it might take a year, might take 2 years, might take 3 years to kind of build it back up to where they were, and they're not willing to take that risk.
Yeah. What made you willing to take that risk?
I have never been accustomed to any sort of lifestyle.
Okay.
And I always, for me, at the end of the day, it's always been business provides you with a level of freedom.
Right. Yeah. So it always comes back down to that.
You know, if something happens, someone's sick and you're working for someone, it's hard to take time off, you know, if you don't have enough leave available, or something happens and you need to go to a different country because someone's getting sick, or you need to go see someone for whatever reason. It's hard, you know. But if you have your own business, you have other dentists working for you, you have that level of freedom to say, hey, I got to go out for a week, I'll be back, you know. And that's what's always kind of driven me. And I've seen that with my brother and my dad and family members, and I'm like, all right, that's where I want to be. You know?
So you were never in that state of mind of being an employee ever?
No.
Yeah. So
and why I started so early was because I didn't want to work for anyone else for any longer.
You were just sick of it?
I was sick of it. I was like, I've got to make this work, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. So owning your own business then, obviously that would have come with some mistakes. What do you think have been your biggest mistakes, or things that you've overlooked which you shouldn't have, or you've learned from?
One of the biggest mistakes or possibly personality traits that I have is I look at the bigger things and I lose focus on the smaller details. And a lot of those smaller details, and a lot of people say this about me, those smaller details is where I really get caught out a lot of times, you know? So whether it's when I was building the place and looking through the contract and making sure everything's in there, because I'm always rushed for time, and that's another thing, you know, I'm always rushing, I'll miss out on certain details in the construction phase, you know. And now I've been going through my marketing and took a step back now, looking at my marketing details, and I start to question things in my marketing plan and my marketing, you know, objectives. So focusing on the bigger things, but also having an eye of detail for those smaller things is important, you know.
And so in terms of like contracts and stuff and being rushed for time, I guess, what are you doing now to resolve it? Are you just taking more time to look through things and just giving yourself more time?
I have a certain level of self-awareness about myself, about these things, you know, that I'm good in certain things and not so good in other things. So sometimes it's good to try and fix yourself up, you know, like, hey, I need to improve myself here and improve myself there. But when I hired my practice manager, I got someone who was complementary to my personality. So I like to look at the bigger things. She's very detail focused. So we work together in the sense that I'll look at the bigger things and she goes through things really well. Which helps me, so I don't have to really improve myself in that aspect. Of course, it's something I should be looking into more, and, you know, spending time with her, then you know, I kind of start looking into those details. So that's, you know, where I've kind of learned how to work.
That's really interesting that you mentioned that. I know a lot of people that I listen to, like motivational speakers and stuff, it's like, be self-aware, which is definitely very important. But then a lot of them are like, oh, you should fix up, you know, the mistakes that you have or whatever. But to be honest, like, you can't be a perfect person, right? And you can't fix every single one of your traits. Like, it's your own personality trait, and it's just part of who you are. So it's really interesting that you bring that up, where you're self-aware, but you don't, I guess, focus too much on trying to fix it immediately, but get someone to actually help you complement your traits. I think it's a really good point. I think a lot of people can learn from that, and me as well. I think in terms of running my own organization, I have a not-for-profit organization that I have on the side that I do. There's a lot of people involved, and I'm always sort of, I guess, hard on myself sometimes, because I feel like, oh, I'm not paying attention to this, I'm not sort of aware of that. But you're right. Sometimes you can get other people to help you out, which is good. Awesome. What have been your biggest achievements in your business, you think?
Biggest achievements in my business? That's a good question.
What are you proud of?
I've always had that long-term goal that once I have, you know, this place is a 3-chair practice. At the moment, we're just using the 1 chair. But once I have the other chairs running, dentists working, that's my achievement. That's what I'm looking forward to. That day where I can sit and not do anything, and I have the dentist working, is one of my greatest achievements that I'm working towards. In the meantime, what's one of my greatest achievements? I don't really have a lot of great. I don't know.
I guess, like, is there something that you're specifically proud about that you've done, or like, I mean, starting your practice is pretty awesome at 27.
One of my greatest achievements, I think, is also probably the fact that after I started my business and had to continue to upskill, I continued to, do more and more things. At the moment, for example, we're doing digital implants, not just a normal implant, but we do most of our planning for the implant digitally online.
Right.
So I had to learn about digital implants and go through the phases of learning again, mentorship, in order to get myself proficient and competent in placing implants in a digital manner, in the sense that, you might come in just for about half an hour, we'll get the implants in and out for you and done.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas before they'd open up the gums and put stitches in and drill and this and that.
Right.
It's much more efficient and much more comfortable for the patient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Learning in general, theory learning, has been a difficult thing for me to grasp over the last 10, 20 years, ever since I've been in school. I've hated school, I've hated university.
Right. Okay.
And so then going back to learn orthodontics as well.
Yeah.
Now we're doing orthodontics and braces and Invisalign, and to learn all those skills, and stay at the forefront of all those new skills, that's been a big achievement for me. That's been massive,
Yeah, awesome. And so you've been mentioning that you've been rushed for time, but you also place a lot of importance in upskilling and learning. I guess being rushed for time, it comes down to priorities, right? And so obviously you'll prioritize learning at the forefront. What would you say your other priorities would be in running a business?
It's not a priority that I've had, but I'm starting to have now, is looking at running the business.
Right.
Rather than working in the business or, working in the chair. That's the biggest priority.
Yeah.
If you don't look at where your numbers are or where your business is headed, then all you do is work. You will never grow.
Yeah.
You need to take a step back, have a look, see what's going on in the business. Then you can make those decisions,
Yeah.
So that's been my latest priority ever since I've kind of cut back on my hours, is to be running the business rather than working in the business.
In terms of cutting back your hours and taking a step back, would you say that would be a step backwards financially for you?
Definitely.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you have to take a step back. You have to take a step back and you have to take a financial pay cut in order to grow your business.
Yeah.
When you're scaling a business, you need to reinvest your profits and, you got to get more people in, which means more money going out.
Yeah. But then, of course, long-term vision, it'll work out long-term better.
Long term, then you have multiple dentists working and multiple chairs running and multiple practices running, and then you recollect the rewards from that.
Yeah, nice. And so I want to come back to what you mentioned about hard work, right? Because I guess the daily hustle is all about hard work and putting in that work every day. You worked 7 days for a very long time, 16 months of 7 days a week, working 7 days a week. And you have all this other stuff going on in your life. You've got kids, wife and stuff, family. In terms of hard work, I like to relate that to starting off as a PT as well. When I first started as a PT last year, honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. There was no other PT there at the gym to help me out there. I was very fresh to the industry. I didn't know what I had to do. But what you were saying about putting in the hours but not really getting paid for it was a very similar experience that I had. Essentially, a lot of the times for the first 5 to 10 weeks was just making calls to new members, making calls to members who haven't come to the gym in 3 months and stuff, just to get them back into the gym to offer them a complimentary session. So whenever I have any new clients, even if they're like, yes, I want to train with you, I'm ready to pay you, I'm ready to do whatever, I always offer them a complimentary session first to start with, just so I have an idea of who the person is like, if I actually can train them, help them get to their goals, and also set goals with them. And so I think it's very valuable when you take a pay cut and just look at the value of time versus the value of money. Use your time well and efficiently to actually build up your business rather than keep looking at the money and the financials at the time. Because at the end of the day, once you put in that time, it'll pay off and that money will come. And I think if your service is good enough and you're always upskilling, you're always bringing something new to your clients or to your patients, then it'll always sort of pay off.
Yeah, it's like an analogy of a tree, you know. If you kind of give it the water, give it the nourishment it needs, give it a couple of years, and then you can sit back, you know,
Yeah,
and
true.
then get all the fruit from it.
Yeah, awesome. So in terms of growth now, like I said before, you're at the sort of end of your startup phase. You've mentioned that the goal would be to fill up 3 chairs. What would be next after that, long term, like super long term, massive dreams? What would it be for you?
Dentistry is changing a lot, and a lot of patients always say, you know, it hurts in the mouth and hurts in the pocket, you know.
Right. Yeah.
It's been something that's been expensive for a long time. And so one of the things of owning a practice and moving into this industry was, hey, how can we make it a little bit more affordable for people visiting the dentist? And a lot of people don't realize, but they put off coming to the dentist for their preventive work. And what happens is then we need to do treatment, which then costs more money.
Yeah.
And it gets really expensive really quickly, you know. Getting a clean done, even if you have a health fund, is generally there's no cost. It's free if you have a health fund. But if you then have to get a new tooth, like a digital implant, then you're looking at about $3,000 to $5,000. You know. So if we can get the Australian population, so I'm thinking on a national level, opening multiple practices, and having that ethos in mind that, you know what, we understand that it's expensive for Australians. But let's make it as cost effective as possible. And then we have more people coming to the dentist for their preventive work. And that helps the business run. Then we can, you know, continue to service the teeth of Australians all around Australia. So practices all over Australia is the ideal goal.
Nice.
One day.
I think that's a really awesome ethos, but I feel like there can be some holes in it as well. Some people might think like, oh, you're just trying to make money off me by getting me in every 6 months to get my teeth clean, which should be happening anyway, right? But yeah, I feel like a lot of people would only go to a dentist if there's an immediate issue or immediate reason to go to the dentist. I know I've been putting off my cleaning for a while, so maybe we can clean that up. But I also know that I need braces too, but I haven't been doing that because 1, I understand there's a lot of cost involved, but 2, I don't want train tracks in my teeth. But I guess, yeah, you're right in making things affordable. And it's the same thing with fitness too. If we can build someone up to make sure that they don't get injured later down the track, then they'll save costs on going to a physio, going to a chiro, getting meds or even surgery. So I think, that sort of ethos.
What you said about people thinking that, do I really need to see the dentist every 6 months? And everyone will, or most people, they're supposed to take their car into service every 3 months. You use your car almost every day. And you need to get the change of the oil and the filters and whatnot. And your teeth, you're using them day in, day out, every single day. You're eating sugars and all those other, you know, things, and crunchy stuff, and you might chip or you might break or you get a lot of plaque building up on your teeth, you know? And if you don't get that cleaned off and you don't get that checkup, then those small problems will turn into bigger problems, you know? And so it's something we use every day, so we need to look after it.
Well, I know that people with their car service, that everyone's pretty good with getting their car service every 3 months. Why do you think people aren't as good with their own teeth?
It comes down to the fact that dentistry is a bit scary. You're inside someone's mouth, they're awake, you know, it's sensitive sometimes. Sometimes people associate it with pain. So that's why, and plus, you know, in the past it has been a bit more expensive, and so people have been putting it off. And
so what would you say your methods are? Do you have any like unique methods that you do to make things pain free? I guess if you say it now, it won't be unique anymore, but anything you can tell us that you sort of do to make things pain free for your patients?
So I think the main thing is, look, dentistry is going to be dentistry, but as minimal time in the mouth as we can is the first thing we try. That's one of our main things. The second thing is distractions, you know. So we've got the ceiling, you know,
Yeah, you got a TV up in your ceiling, which is awesome.
So
I've never
kids
seen that
love
before.
that.
Yeah.
You know, we'll put on their favorite TV show.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
on Netflix or whatever they want to watch.
Yeah.
And then they'll just have their mouths open and just watching the TV screen. You know.
That's awesome.
So, because dentistry itself isn't actually painful, you know, but it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if your mind is distracted, then you're not, you know, focusing on that discomfort that's going on in your head, in your, you know, teeth.
Yeah.
Then you're focused on something else. Then it works, you know. So those are the two main things in terms of making it as pain-free as possible.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the pain in the pocket, we do a lot of no gap stuff. So for example, a lot of people in Australia these days have a health fund.
Yeah.
If you have a health fund, you just come in, present your health fund card, and we'll swipe that. We don't charge you a gap on checkups and cleans and x-rays and fillings, all the preventive stuff, you know, because we're trying to push towards getting the prevention rather than treating things, you know.
So explain to me the whole no gap thing. How does that work? Because I don't even know how that works.
Yeah, even a lot of people in health funds themselves, they don't know what that no gap
really?
So if you have a health fund, your health fund will pay something.
Yeah.
For example, the cleans here, we charge $100. The health fund will pay you possibly $50.
Yeah.
Then you, out of your pocket, at any other dental practice, will have to pay the $50 out of your own pocket.
Yeah.
But at Super Smiles Dental here, we only charge the $50. We don't charge you. Whatever the health fund gives us, which is the $50.
Yeah.
And we don't charge you that gap payment of $50.
Really?
Yeah. So it's called no gap.
Yeah.
You know? We don't charge you that gap.
Yeah. And so you would be making a loss then, wouldn't you?
True. So we'd be making a loss because we don't get that other $50. However, where we make it up is the fact that a lot of people that have 4 or 5 or 10 fillings, you know, they usually don't get their fillings because it costs a lot of money.
Right.
And so we say, hey, you don't have to pay because your health fund's covering, you know, some of it, and that's sufficient for us, you know.
Right.
That's sufficient. We've worked out the numbers that, hey, as long as, you know, people are coming in to get their cleans and their fillings or whatever else they need to get done, that works for us.
And so it's more so decreasing the amount that people pay, but getting more people in.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the numbers work out.
Numbers work out.
Interesting. When did you start thinking of that?
When I was in private practice, you know, a lot of people would come in and they would want to get things done. And I did see a gap in the market, and I thought, hey, let's use that.
And so I guess with having more affordable dentistry, would you be then targeting a demographic where they are more lower socioeconomic, or do you see yourself expanding just across Australia in general?
No. Whether you're a rich person or a poor person,
dentistry is always going to be expensive.
Dentistry is going to be expensive, but also the fact that people are always going to be price conscious.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you have to pay $300 for a clean, and then you come to Super Smiles Dental and you get the same treatment, if not better, and you don't have to pay anything, you're like, hey, why am I paying that extra $300, you know?
Yeah, right.
And I'm getting better service.
Yeah.
So, and it's been working for us, you know? Okay. A lot of people have been coming back and getting their cleans regularly done here.
Awesome. So in terms of your service then, obviously you're a dentist, you clean teeth and you do fillings and stuff. Do you think there's much importance in like following up on patients, talking to them and building a relationship? What role does that play in your sort of job?
Dentists and patients, they're a certain type of doctor, so a lot of patients have a close relationship with their dentist, you know?
Okay.
And so they always want to tell us about their lives and what's going on. And so having that relationship with your patient as a dentist is very important, because if you don't have that relationship, then most patients will kind of go away or they won't bother to come back.
Yeah. So do you actively try to build that relationship with your patients, or do people just tell you their life stories?
I think as long as you're genuine, you know,
right.
You don't necessarily have to go into all the details of
how's your divorce?
But you know, whatever they ask or whatever they're telling you, just be genuine about it.
Right.
And you know, patients see that level of genuineness.
Yeah, right.
Then they trust you. You know. And if you give them good advice, they'll continue to trust you. They'll refer you to family and friends. And that's how it builds. You know.
Yeah. Awesome.
Doing the right thing. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Awesome, man. So I guess in the next year or so, what's the plan? I guess in more detail, because we know that you want to go nationwide. But the next 2 or 3 years, what's the goal for you, both I guess professionally and personally?
So next 2 years, I plan on continuing to build this practice up.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we have a second one started
Awesome.
in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
The other thing is obviously I want to cut back on my clinical hours or patient hours, probably down to about 1 to 2 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to do it because it's you start to enjoy what you do. There's a certain level of passion to it.
I mean, you started dentistry to be a dentist, not a business owner, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the dentistry is always going to be like a hobby,
Hobby.
Yeah, so I want to keep that hobby going, but keeping the business and that side going as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
In terms of business, I was listening to another podcast actually yesterday, and they were saying how much a business is like to a marriage. Basically, once you start a business, you're married to the business. What are your thoughts on that?
That's pretty true.
Yeah.
Once you start a business, you're kind of married to it.
Yeah.
And I think the important thing is, but you got to find a way to try and keep yourself a certain distance. You got to kind of get your exit strategy going. You can't always be in there 5, 6, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You need to find a way that what you're happy with. For some people that could be working 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Or some people could be working 1 to 2 days a week. If you can find that and work towards that, which then means you need to be hiring other people in order to keep that business growing.
With your clinic then, or with your practice, people would obviously ask to see you, right? And with getting other dentists in then, how do you think that's going to work? Because I have another client of mine who is a hairdresser, right? And I was talking to him the other day, I was like, why don't you just hire more people and to get busy? He was always saying, oh, I'm so busy, booked out and stuff. So I just told them, why don't you just hire more people to do your work for you? It's like, everyone just asks for me. Like, even if I tell them to do, he said, I have an assistant. She does most of the work actually, and I do all the touch-ups and stuff. But then when people tell other people that they got their hair done, it's like, oh, they got it done by me, not by my assistant. How do you see that in your practice? Like, is that an issue that you've faced, or?
So that's true. So what happens is your appointment schedule will get booked out, and it's hard to see, people, and just have to tell them if you want to see Zamil or Dr. Zamil, it will be a 3-month wait.
Yeah.
However, he has a lot of trust in his associate dentist, and that's the reason why I hired him in the first place. But I usually say that myself,
Right.
I say, hey, look, I won't be able to see you in 6 months' time. I'm going to send you to my therapist or the dentist that's working here, and he or she will look after you. I have a lot of trust in them, and that's why I've got them, because I don't have time to see you for your clean.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they're like, oh, okay, well, if the doctor trusts, that other doctor, and I'm happy to go.
Right.
So you need to kind of wiggle your way out of it. Or if they're really adamant, then they go on a 3-month wait list or whatever it is.
Right. Okay, cool. Is there anything else that you want to say about running your own business, about your practice, or anything that you think could provide value?
I think the main thing is a lot of people think about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And they think and they think and they think, and they're like, is it gonna work? Is it not gonna work? Should I do it? Should I not do it?
Yeah.
And especially at a young age, I think for most people, and especially for most of your viewers, just do it. See what happens. Most of the time, you won't get completely burnt.
Yeah.
And you won't go, you won't have to go back to your own job or whatever it is. But you'll be stuck in a certain, place in your business. But if you keep working at it, keep, chipping up at it, it will get better, you know? You need to learn from your mistakes, So if you are making some sort of mistakes, you need to kind of self-analyze yourself and say, hey, what's going on here? Why is that happening? How can I make it not happen like that? And so learning from your mistakes and just giving it a go, because if you don't give it a go, it's not going to work. But the other thing is this, indecision. There's some sort of saying that says that those that think they will and those that think they can't are both right.
Yeah, right.
Something like that. Those that think they can and those that think they can't, both of them are right.
Right, yeah.
You'll say, I can't do it. You're right, you can't do it.
Yeah,
you say, I can do it. You're right, you can do it.
Right, yeah.
So a lot of people are like, I don't think you should do it, and then if you continue, getting pulled by them, then you will be like, yeah, they're probably right, But have a decision that you make and follow through with it,
Yeah.
Just stay stubborn on your decision.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, a lot of young people especially, I mean, even older people, not even just young people, are thinkers, not doers. I see that a lot now, where they're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to, earn this, I want to have this nice car, but it's never like, I'm going to do this to get to where I want to be. It's always, I want this, or I want that, not I will do this to get to where I want to be.
Baby steps, just like baby steps, and you'll start to see it evolve, It's like that TikTok, they're like, oh, we should do a TikTok page. And I'm like, all right, let's do a TikTok page, They're like, what should we do? I'm like, I don't know. But then we started, right? And we had all these videos, whatever. They're like, no, it's not good, it's not good. I said, just post it. Just post it. The more TikToks we do, the slowly we'll get better and better. We look like idiots in there, but that's all right. We'll get better and better and better. And it'll start to build up, And the more you do something, the more experience you get in that, the more knowledge you start to get in that. When I started business, I had no idea what I'm doing. No idea. Nothing. And then you learn a little bit, and then you learn a little bit, and then you learn, and over time you're like, hey, you look back and you say, hey, I've learned so much. And now look at myself in the last year, what an idiot I was to do, all the mistakes that I did, and all the, decisions that I made. But at least I made some sort of decisions, and I moved forward, and then I learned from those mistakes.
Well, I mean, there's a principle for that, for doing small things every single time. It's called the principle of marginal gains, right? I'm not sure if you heard of it, but the principle of marginal gains, where you do something every single day. It might be 1%, but over 100 days, 1 times 100 is 100%, right? Like maths doesn't work like that, but anyway, you get the point. It's just every single day you're doing something to get to where you want to be, and that's what the daily hustle is about, man. Like, if you do something every single day, whether it's for me as a PT, it's calling 5 people a day, five new members a day, or talking to 5 new people on the floor. That's 5 opportunities that I can to get new clients.
Exactly.
And so making those little steps, people sort of overlook it and think, oh nah, like they won't do anything, or it's not going to count or something. It will. Like, if you multiply it by the amount of time you do it, it's going to get you somewhere.
Exactly.
And I was talking to one of my friends, high school friends, ages ago, and I still remember this conversation today. It's like, if we keep doing something, whether it's business or work or whatever, as long as we do it every single day, we're going to get somewhere. Like, there's going to be some sort of result, some sort of outcome. We can't just keep putting our hard work in and nothing come of it. Whether we make mistakes, as long as we make mistakes, then we get to learn. If we screw up, we get to learn. Same thing. And taking all these opportunities to keep learning, keep growing, and do something every single day to get who you want to be, the daily hustle, you're going to get somewhere. Awesome.
That's some pretty good advice.
Awesome. So look, with Super Smiles Dental, where can people find you if they're trying to look for you?
We're located in the Chipping Norton Market Plaza, so it's a pretty easy, convenient location.
Good parking.
Parking's downstairs, plenty of parking.
Yeah, cool. Are you on Instagram?
We're on Instagram, supersmiles_dental.
Yep, and then what's your TikTok? Super
Smiles Dental.
Nice. How many views have you got on TikTok at the moment?
We did a couple of these ones that are really bad, and then one of them we did hit about 75,000.
Whoa, nice. What was it? Was it just like
it was one of my assistants telling people on TikTok how she started today.
Wow, that's awesome, man. 75,000 views.
75,000 views.
The other thing with social media, I get a lot of content. I listen to all the content from Gary Vee. Gary Vee. And he's awesome at content. Like, just keep posting, man. That's how I started with personal training. I just posted every single day on Instagram, and that's how I got all my followers. As long as you keep posting content, whether it's good content, bad content. I mean, I don't think there's ever anything such as bad content. If people aren't reacting to it, just change it up. Do something new. If people do like it, keep doing that. And you'll keep doing it. So I think social media, people overcomplicate it too much. People are like, oh, you gotta post this, you gotta post that, you gotta put this hashtag, you have this amount of views and stuff. Like, I think it's just all bullshit. As long as you post and just analyze what happens afterwards, whether if it's bad, then change it up. If it's good, keep doing it.
Exactly.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing as well, and that's something I haven't been looking at because I've been working, but now we took a step back. Now, like, hey, we're going to do this.
It's fun, right?
It's been fun.
Awesome. So if you want to find Zamil, he's located at Chipping Norton Market Plaza.
Yes.
Yep. Search supersmiles_dental on Instagram, or you'll find Super Smiles Dental on TikTok. I'm going to look up you guys on TikTok and find out what's going on there. You can find me, Kelvin Tran, @fitness on Instagram, or you can also look at Daily Hustle. On Instagram, dailyhustle.apparel. If you want to get any of our merchandise, you can also go to our website, daily-hustle.co. If people want to book you, it'll just be phone number or
online,
website,
Instagram.
What's your website?
supersmartsdental.com.au.
Very simple. Just look up Super Smiles Dental, you'll find them. Awesome. Well, thanks very much for your time, Zamil. I had a pleasure podcasting and recording with you. Thanks you guys for tuning in again. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys got a lot of golden nuggets of advice from Dr. Zamil. Hope you guys enjoy your day. Enjoy, have fun. Thanks, Zamil.
Thank you.
Thanks.